Welcome back to Out of Town Photography with Trevor. Today we're going to continue from where we left off, out by the river. Yes, it was that day, and the river looked very much like this. That was the shot I was taking. Not very exciting, but we were out there doing a bulb exposure shot, and we did a shot which took 90 seconds. We had the shutter open. Now out there, I did mention to you that when you have your natural density filter on your camera, you have to put your camera into manual focus. The second thing, we need to set our lens into manual. And why would we want to set that into manual? Well, simply because we're going to be using a natural density filter on our lens. Now, you might have wondered why. The reason being that if you had it in automatic focus, you would have had a shot looking something like this. Because the camera would be searching all the time for something to focus on, and it just wouldn't find it. Now I bumped this picture up a little bit so you could see it a little bit clearer, but obviously it's a picture which we cannot use. This was the shot, and you can see that I took it 1/3 of a second, but we were doing 90 seconds. Well, let's have a look at that photo. This is it. A little bit better than the short exposure, and here we have a nice smooth flowing river, but it's not a great photo. So let's dive in and do some editing. Dive in the water? No, we dive in and do some work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is actually clean the picture up, because I don't really like this branch hanging in here. So let's remove that, and we're going to remove that by taking the picture into Lightroom. So right clicking on the picture, edit in Photoshop. Photoshop is opening up, and there is our photo. Right. Okay, so this has to go away. So I am putting a new layer on top, and I'm going to be using two tools. One, the clone stamp tool, and also the spot healing brush, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So let's zoom in on the picture and do some magic. So we don't want too big a brush, just make it a little bit smaller and little soft edges. So I'm just going to paint over here, and not going to do too much at a time, because I love seeing how Photoshop works. So now it's time to turn on some classic music. And as you see, it's going pretty well. I think this is magic. Magic. Get lost in doing this. Yeah, you want to keep an eye on what is actually happening. I can see very faintly that it's kind of like still there. So I'm just going to have a look at my opacity. Oh, my opacity is at 100, so it should be okay. So we continue up. Slowly, it is disappearing. Remember, you want to go into detail, you can zoom in on the picture, and you can really see what you are doing. Right, now, just for the fun of it, I am going to use a different tool. I'm going to use the stamp tool. And using the stamp tool, I think it's very important that you try to mark a spot close to what you want to remove, simply because of the colouring and the texture. Just going to change my brush to a hard brush. No, didn't like the hard brush, it left too much of a hard edge. So a nice soft brush is good to use. Anyway, you don't have to watch me do all of this, so you can join me later when I'm done. So there, yes. Now that has gone. Now there's just one secret which I think is very important to remember when one has done something like this, is that with that layer which we have there, is go up to your filter and just give it a touch of Gaussian blur, and that will make all the difference. It will really just smoothen everything else, and if you don't know, you wouldn't know that I had done anything there. Okay, so let's save that and go back to Lightroom. Back in Lightroom, there's our photo. All gone. And what did we have when we started with? You can remember that was what we had, but now we are there. Okay, great. Now, I don't know how this is going to turn out, so but I know where I want to go with it. I want to put a little bit more colour and yeah, make it more interesting. It's a bit bright down on the left hand side, so let's see what we're going to do. First, I always like to check the highlights and the shadows by getting the histogram level and even left and right, but then when I'm there, I might even just think, okay, that's a little bit too bright, so let's just bring that back. And let's just drop the black a little bit, so we just get it right into the edge here of the left hand side of the histogram. Okay, so that's good. So looking at the general of the picture, it's dark here, it's bright there, and it's bright here. And this is the nice stream of the water. Let's remember what it looked like. That's what it looked like. So let's go back to there. So I am going to add, I want a little bit of change from the top down to the middle. So I'm going to use a gradient filter there because it's pretty sharp. So I'm going to drop the clarity there, and that will make it a little bit softer. Okay, now let's look at the lower side of the photo. I'm going to just pull up a gradient filter, and as I did it straight away, it has the same settings as the one above, but I see that I am crushing the blacks down here because I have my marker switched on here, which will show me. As you can see, that the blue comes up here by pressing this button, and that's telling me that it's too dark. There'll be no detail in the blacks. So if I just keep that on for a second and see what we can do about that. Why is that so dark? So maybe it's because the exposure is, there we go, there we're bringing back the detail now in that. Superb. Okay, but I do have a problem here because this is too bright. So what I do, I will take a circular filter, and I'm just going to fill that left hand side, and you can see how much what I've done there. That's the left hand side fixed. Now that might be just a little bit too dark. I do want it to be a little bit not as bright as it was before. So playing with the contrast and the exposure, I can get a pretty good setting there. But I do want to make sure that it's nice and comparatively sharp. So a touch of clarity will help that on its way. And I'm going to change the temperature a little bit because clarity tends to make it a little bit blue. Right, there we go. Okay, so back into the main picture. Let's see what happens if we just do a touch of clarity on the head. Look at that. You see how nice how the detail comes out in the water now, with the shadows of the trees and the embankment. So I like that, but we're not going to use that just yet. What we're going to do is that we're going to use the radial filter. We can press the short key M, and I'm going to make this. Oops, wrong one. Sorry, what happened there then? Radio filter, that's the one I want, yes. And nice filter, which I want to have over the river. There we go. Now, let's see if we can not. Now, it's getting to look like the River Thames. Brown and dirty. Right, okay. So we're in Sweden, so we want it nice and green. Do we? No, let's have a touch of magenta in there, just to give it a bit of warmth in the yellows. And there, pretty much done now. I want a little touch of clarity to bring out those shadows. Good. Okay, so done with that. I'm going to duplicate it, bring that down there, and let's move that one up. Now it's not big enough, and to do that all you need to do is stretch it out across the picture, and there we go. Let's bring that down to the right a little bit. Nice. Just working on this little section here now, and saturation there a little bit more. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so that one's done. Let's go to the middle section, and before I start playing with that, we're just going to duplicate that one as well and bring that down here for a little bit. Okay, so we could stay where we are with the setting. Just bring that down a little bit. But what would happen? No, yeah. Now we're getting two colours, two tones. Yes, because it would be a little bit more yellow by the embankment, and then there's a little bit deeper water there, and a little bit of saturation there, a little bit more colour, and maybe not so much feathering. And yes, of course, I didn't pull that out enough. So let's stretch my radial filter out a little bit more, and that's going to give it a nice blend in with the yellow at the top there. Okay, so now I'm just moving that lower side in. Okay, so here we go. Got a nice two-tone there. Okay, we're just going to stretch this out again, and let's twist that a little bit this time, a bit like that, going in the same direction of the water. Now let's see, we've got a nice touch of clarity there, but I don't know whether we want so much clarity there, because the idea was to have a nice smooth shot, and so we'll just lower the clarity so it'd be even smoother. Now is a choice of colour. We're over here, it's got a little... See if you like what I do or not, but I think, and I could spend quite a lot of time around this section of getting a good colour match to what I want, but I think that's going to have to do for now. And I'm going to drop that down a little bit, bring that back. So, okay, let's say we're done with that. So there we go, let's see what it looked like before. That's what it looked like before, after we removed the branch, and that's what it looks looking like now. Okay, so for final adjustments, I'm just going to touch a little bit of clarity, which is going to make it nice and sexy, yes. And a little bit of vibrance colour. I like to use the vibrance because it doesn't, it's not as strong as using saturation. And then, yeah, I think we're pretty much done. What do we need to do anything with the contrast? Drop it? No, that's fine. Okay, so the last thing left is that I love to crop my pictures, simply because I feel that this is just kind of too much. So let's lose some of it. What's more interesting, the rock? Shall we have the branch come out? I think the rock is a little bit more interesting than the grass on the left, but I do want to see a little bit of the embankment and the trees there. I like that tree on the left there as well, just that one here. Make sure that starts on the edge. So let's say that it's done there. And yeah, you know, maybe a little touch of gradient up in the top right hand corner here. Let's twist that a little bit and let's bring that down a little bit, brightness there. So there you go, folks, that's it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you go out and experiment and practice, and see you in the next one. Thank you very much, and take care. Bye bye.